This is going to be a demonstration on how to make predictions off a scatter plot. So you have a set of data in a table, and sometimes they will ask you to plot it, and this is already plotted for you. And so the first thing you're going on how to make a prediction of a scatter plot, you're going to make a trend line. So what I do is I make my railroad tracks. Now notice these two are outside my railroad tracks. That's okay, because the majority of them are in my railroad tracks. Then I'm going to make a trend line. And so ultimately this red line is what you're looking at. Okay? This is what you're looking at. And then you're going to pretend the dots don't exist, and you're going to read it off the trend line. So what relationship is shown by the scatter plot? Remember what type or what kind. You're always having your three choices of positive, negative, or no correlation. And since this is going in an upward trend and it looks like a positive slope, then you're going to write positive correlation. Now the reason you write the word correlation is because if I read the word positive correlation, that means you did something off a scatter plot. To make predictions we use, okay, so we're going to use this red line, and I called it a trend line. And it is called a trend line. We draw this line in the middle of the data, okay? You want about the same number of points above and below your line, so you kind of eyeball it, okay? Draw in your trend line, which I did. Based on the line, this means ignore the dots and look at the line. If you studied 0 hours, what would your test score be? Now this is where you go to 0 hours, so you go here. And at 0 hours, you're going to say, where does it hit the trend line? And it's going to be an estimate, and I would say 62 for a grade. So, what did I do? I drew my railroad tracks. That's just how I do it. You draw a trend line, you ignore your dots, and read off your trend line. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, here we go. Describe the relationship that exists between rainfall and the possible sunshine. So let's talk about as rain increases, sunshine decreases. Yes, one goes up, one goes down. Remember we were talking about that. And when we talked about this on the other page when we used our arrows, and that is a negative correlation. So that's from the words. And then it says describe the relationship shown by the scatter plot. And it's going down. And so that is also a negative correlation. Now, you should actually always have the same answers if you're describing or you're looking at a picture. So now it says draw a trend line. And I'm going to draw a trend line. These guys out here, when they're so far out, I call them outliers. They are called outliers. I'm going to do, I'm going to draw my trend line. Whew, my desk has ridges in it. Draw a trend line based on your line. If there was a 20% chance of sunshine, percentage of possible sunshine. So now, okay, 20% chance of sunshine, how much rainfall could you expect? And this is the rainfall. So you have to pay attention to your titles on your graph. So 20% of sunshine would be less down here. So the percentage would be down here, and you would come across and you would say, and this would extend, and so I could say 75 inches. Okay. Next one. What type of relationship exists between the temperature and the number of visitors to the beach? So I would predict as the temperature goes up, the visitors to a beach, because nice and sunny, and it would go up. What is the expected number of visitors when the temperature is 86 degrees? So again, I'm going to draw my railroad tracks. Okay. I'm going to draw my trend line. And remember, this is an estimate. And it says, what is the expected number of visitors? When temperature is 86, this is 86. So I'm going to go up to my trend line. I'm going to go across to my number of visitors. And I'm going to write 300. So when you're looking at these, some of them are going to be logical and some of them are going to be very illogical answers. Okay, here we go. What type? Means I'm doing words between the cost of a car and how old it is. As the age increases, my car, what I could sell it for, decreases. One up, one down means it's a negative correlation. Okay, I did it by the words. Look at the graph. It's also a negative correlation. What is the expected value of a car that is 9 years old? Look at this trend line, or look at this railroad tracks. They're pretty close together, yes? So our trend line, right down the center, and we're going to 9 years old, age and car, 9. Oops, my desk is not helping out today. And I'm going to go to 9, and I'm going to go up to the trend line, and I'm going to say, that's 25, that's 2.5, and so I would say 3, but this is in thousands, so it would be 3,000. So pay attention to your graph titles, and pay attention to if it's not in unit value. So here you go. The graph describes the relationship between the hours working on homework per week versus the hours. So increased homework means you don't have time for Netflix. Or increased Netflix means you have no time for homework. Okay, either way, it's one up, one down. The graph describes between, we didn't even have to do anything. How much time was spent on homework if the student watched 10 hours of Netflix? Okay, so how much time spent? And this one I'm going to take another approach because I have a multiple choice. So how much time of homework? Hours spent on homework. So we're looking for this, hours spent watching Netflix. So I'm going to come to the 7, and I'm going to plot, 10 hours, sorry. If the student watched 10 hours. So hours spent watching Netflix, and I'm at the 10. So I'm going to go here. And that's where I'm looking at. This would be the green line. Okay. Now, if I plotted 7, does that look like it fit within these dots? No. If I said 3, does that look like it fits within the dots? If I did 5 or I did 1. And which one looks like it fits in the pattern? Well, if I did the railroad tracks, and I did the in between the railroad tracks, I'm hitting that one, yes? And so the best answer would be 3. I'm going to pause it for the next video to do more problems.